Good morning and welcome to Judging by the Cover, the gaming review show where I'll rate games that I have not played and I score them based on the store pages. Today we are going to go ahead and look at something, I guess maybe not super different or super unique in the current state of game development, considering that this genre of simulator games has been made somewhat popular. I feel like since the release of the supermarket simulators and the TCG shop simulators, but this time it is Bookshop Simulator, which hit my radar at the front of the Steam page because they just recently released 1.0 out now, released on July 20th. So, yes, released this week. Now, why am I looking at this when I've played TCG Shop Simulator on Steam and I've looked at other simulator games, including one earlier this month, where it was kind of so many of them get the critique, at least from me, saying that they look very samey. They seem to just kind of recycle all their assets together, and they all kind of have the same kind of progression grind of you buying licenses for your inventory as opposed to like unlocking inventory organically or something like that. Basically, that seems like that's the criticism that I have when I look at these things. It was a streamer simulator that we looked at previously on another one where it was very hit or miss. Like certain aspects of it looked okay in concept. It just looked like it wasn't executed very well. So we're going to look at Bookshop Simulator to see how we judge its execution for this and to see if it does anything possibly unique or flashy or in its own flair over those other games, considering that this genre has become pretty popular, not just from a player perspective, but from a developer perspective. Like if you look at Steam or the Nintendo Switch eShop or even other eShops, I'm sure other Microsoft and PlayStation shops have these too, where there will be a flood of simulation games that all kind of have the same kind of look and feel to them if you look at their screenshots and trailers, but the major difference is what kind of store you are simulating. And the other reason I wanted to look at this one is because I did review Tiny Bookshop and I played it to completion too before it got an update that added more books to its repertoire. So we're going to be looking at Bookshop Simulator to see how it stacks up to both those and my experience with Tiny Bookshop, considering I'm going to have some biases going into this, which I know might not be the best thing for this, but a lot of times when we look at new games or games we haven't played, those biases will come into effect when we're making our judgments. I'm sure you guys out there watching this have experienced that as well. So, first off, let's go ahead and take a look at the trailers. Bookshop Simulator gives us two trailers here. They just show you kind of what you expect the gameplay to look like. Now, they do show some very clean portrayal of that with your on-screen UI so that you can kind of see what the shop interface, what your screen looks like, what your controls are going to look like when you're doing, mouse and keyboard controls, which honestly, mouse and keyboard is probably going to be the way to go for this. In my experience having played TCG Shop Simulator, mouse and keyboard was easier to work with than controller when it came to, especially when it came to things like working the register, considering you had to like go and navigate your cursor like in first person view to certain slots in the register. So it's just easier to work that way. The first trailer does seem kind of calm and lackluster a little bit. The second trailer really highlights the atmosphere a little better, showing us this first shop of a tiny little narrow space where they even show you the as you get the expansion of that with a little bit of relaxing music in the background to kind of set the tone for what you expect in a cozy game like this. They do show you setting the floor, the wallpaper, the bookshelves, and they show you multiple locations from a shop out in a meadow to being in the middle of Paris. And the multiple locations is one of the things that we're going to go ahead and highlight as we get through this review. They show a lot of customization options right down to the register and the bookshelf colors, so you really get to decorate and customize your shop. It shows a handful of the literature options, which we will get to in the screenshots as well. They show cats. You do get a shop cat to kind of set the atmosphere as well. So they show you hints at a lot of little things that I don't know how much it's going to mechanically make a difference, but it at least makes it feel very homey and relaxing. And I will say, compared to what I've seen in these other shop simulators, graphically it actually looks pretty clean. Not incredible like hyper realism. The character models still move in a way that's very mechanical, but considering it's, a low budget indie thing, and we're going to go ahead and talk about blep games in a second too, where everything at least looks cohesive in how it's laid out. Although I do have a couple of gripes with the bookshelves stocking, maybe one title per shelf. That's kind of a weird thing for a bookstore that I feel like carries over from the other simulator games where any given shelf is only going to have one item stocked on it. But those are our two trailers. The second trailer definitely better than the first just for the background music alone. The first trailer does have some background music. The second trailer just has significantly better music that makes you feel invested in it. Now, for our screenshots, our second part of the review, we're going to go ahead and look at these screenshots. First off, we get a look from the register into the shop, and this one looks like possibly, I'm not sure which shop this is in the game. We do know that there's multiple shops to choose from and to unlock as you go. We do get that further down into the description. But the character models, they do look uh not incredibly diverse in like the body shapes and all that, but the outfits, the faces, the hairstyles, it does look like they have a little more flair and personality to them than I'm used to seeing in TCG Shop Simulator or in some of those other simulators. Now, the other simulators might kind of reskin or remodel some of their stuff a little bit. Now, to be fair, I haven't played a whole ton of them. I've played TCG Shop Sim, and then I got another one on the Switch that was actually really janky. But a lot of times when you look at the screenshots of those, they have very samey and lackluster character models. At least the clothing and the outfits on these characters, like that the shopping NPCs, that they're not going to have personalities or anything. They're only there to come in and buy things. So it's more of a mechanical grind of a game as opposed to something like Tiny Bookshop where, the interaction with the main characters and the storyline you go through with missions with like objectives that you get from them and getting to know them makes it a much more personal game. This one, again, you're just running the bookstore, but the characters at least have a bit more of a distinct visual style to them that I do kind of appreciate. We do also see a handful of the books here. We see Oligopoly, the board game, the Fellowship of the Bling. So we are going to see as we go through here a whole bunch of books that instead of picking book titles from the real world, you're stocking like books that are parodies of real world books, probably done to avoid licensing issues. We have some examples like the Manservant Tale, Oscar Twist, The Girl with the Hydra Tattoo, Game Design for Dimwits. What is that? Dive and Let Lie. We've got Long Shot, A Game of Power, Book 2 of A Ballad of Heat and Chill, which I'm pretty sure is a parody of A Song of Ice and Fire. So, Game of Thrones reference on there. The Michelangelo Cipher. We even see in this screenshot where these posters are showing, a bakery and bakery and coffee shop. So on top of a bookshop, you also have a cafe aspect to it, which is kind of cool because coffee shop bookshop hybrids are a cool little thing to go to. Even some bookshops just have maybe not a coffee shop, but they might have like a Keurig with some coffee bar stuff for patrons, which is pretty cool. I have seen our local bookshop has one of those. We do see the exterior here, which again, comparing to the likes of TCG Shop Simulator, which I feel like was one of the main originators of this trend that really started developers trying to cash in on this. This one, now I'm pretty certain that you're not going to be able to go up and down the street and explore these other buildings or go actually visit the literal Eiffel Tower that's right there. But the fact that you are right here in front of the Eiffel Tower on a main street is just a cool visual to have here, as opposed to a lifeless street with like an apartment building across from you that you just throw your empty boxes into when you don't have time to put them in the actual trash. We do see the bookshop here. We see staff hanging out in front of it. I do appreciate that the town looks pretty clean. And honestly, I'm very tempted to go ahead and get this game and start it here just to call the bookshop Lumiose Bookshop. Yes, I am a Pokemon nerd, so sue me. Please don't sue me. I don't have that much money. But that it just seems like kind of a cool thing to do there. Seeing this visual flair there, and we see more. Okay, we got books and more books. They do talk about something in the description, I believe, where you can get some free donation books or something. And they might have like rare prints in them, some stuff like that. And it's a whole list of books where you're buying cases of these: the Notepad, Oscar Twist, the Prince Groom, the Project Longshot, Tiny Women, the Time Engine, Tomio and Odette. Ooh, Odette. That kind of reminds me of the the talk show host from Dungeon Crawler Carl, which honestly, a Dungeon Crawler, if they expand the book options in here as they go, I would like to see some kind of a parallel with that, like Tower Climber Robert or something would be an interest. I just shot that off the top of my head there, but this kind of shop layout. It does look pretty much reminiscent, similar, almost not completely identical, but very similar to how your shop interface works in TCG Shop Simulator for buying your product. It's just this time it's individual book titles instead of card sets. We have a shot here with the cat. It looks like the cat does have, bed, food, water, and hearts. So maybe there's some kind of friendship bonus that you get from the cat. I would hope that there's something there to make the cats more mechanically helpful as opposed to just looking pretty. We do see some talk about this where there are legendary and mythic books in the where that have extra bonuses when you display them for your shop. Blet Books here is shown with the employees hanging out front here, just kind of enticing people in. We do see some stuff with characters handing out flyers as advertising, so that's kind of a cool thing that I didn't see in TCG Shop Simulator. Somebody went, at least for this showcase, they went and decorated this like a spooky and horror themed little nook here. So having the ability to set aside parts of your bookshop for specific themes and categories and motifs is just pretty cool. This is another one of the shop locations, a snowy like European city as well. Another shop here that looks honestly more, I don't know. It's hard to describe. I think it has more to do with their visual design with the stripes and the flooring, like the black and white checkered flooring, just seems, I don't know, it's giving a different motif. And I do see that the open sign is showing on this side. Does that mean we're closed? And yeah, it does look like it's just employees restocking or something before things fire off, along with the register going on here. So all of these shown with the screenshots. Another shot here that appears to be in front of Mount Fuji in Japan. So a bookshop out in rural Japan where, people walk up probably from a nearby train station. Another one here that's just a close up of the books showing a bunch of these Harry Potter books, like the Dungeon of Truths, the Warden of Azkaban, the Master of Relics, and the League of the Sphinx, along with Fogborn and some other books. I had my wife look at these because she grew up like a longtime Harry Potter fan, and uh, you know current issues with the author aside, like having grown up with the books and with the lore and with that kind of contributing to that love of reading and storytelling, at least as from that aspect, it's kind of cool to see that kind of cultural relevance portrayed here with this, even with my complaint about how it seems to be one shelf is limited to a single book title. I'm wondering if maybe down the line they might do something like Tiny Bookshop does, where you can break up bookshelves with the categories and have multiple titles on the shelf. Because right now, like this kind of thing, I would expect to see this for a brand new release of of like a handful of books, as opposed to the entire shop being this. I feel like if they populated it with a mountain of real world books, and then you order books like by the category or by the genre and then stock your shelves that way, the way you do in Tiny Bookshop, I feel like that would just feel more organic, especially if there's a way to like buy books and buy trade-ins and stuff and be a used bookstore, the way in TCG Shop Simulator you can buy or trade for other people's cards. But they do show a fair amount of variety with the decoration, which I do appreciate, because I know one of the earliest reviews that I've done on this show was actually for uh two separate TCG Shop simulators that were on the Switch that were unaffiliated. Like, they're basically knockoffs of the one you can purchase on Steam. And those ones, at least one of them, looked like their all of their screenshots and trailer footage came from like the first maybe hour of actual gameplay, where it didn't show any kind of long-term thing that you could build towards. But here we have some lovely patterns on the floor, different kinds of flooring, rugs, chairs for a reading nook, different kinds of bookshelves and paint jobs all over. So it shows you what you can build to, no matter how bare bones the start of it can feel, so that you really get into making it your own kind of space. A freaking an old like European style telephone booth like this, for one of the things. You could even maybe make entire fiction themed bookshops or sections like that. You could make it like a little Doctor Who science fiction corner over here, would be kind of neat. We even see that they do have comic books and what looks like maybe some Isaac Asimov reference here with, what is that called? Something simulate. I think it's called Simulated from what I can see here. But that's just a whole lot of what's going on there with the screenshots. The screenshots do show an incredible variety. For anybody that's only listening to this, I do recommend checking out the store page, especially if you like these simulation games. Take a look at this and see, like we can see in the trailer there, it's a little janky with the NPCs handling things with their body motions. They do look a little stilted almost. But for a game like this, you're focused more on, probably more on the decorating, and the fact that they do still have more visual flair and variety than I've seen in some of these games and some of these trailers is at least kind of cool to see. So, and we even see, similar to games you've played for TCG Shop Simulator, if I mouse over this one, you can even kind of see some of the shelving and NPCs. They do look, the visual style, like this one looks like an advancement of the visual style from that. Even though those screenshots are, it's just the front end screenshots. So moving on along, we do have to get through the description here and see what exactly they want to tell us and convey to us about this game to try and sell it to us. Run your own bookshop. Fulfill your dream of owning and operating your own bookshop. Buy and sell inventory and use the profits to decorate and expand your shop. Build your business from a small boutique shop into a retail empire. You stock and sell products, buy and place bookshelves, then fill them with new books, comics, board games, and other items to sell. Run the cash register to earn revenue. As your business grows, hire employees to be cashiers and item stockers so you can focus on expansion. Pretty much the exact same thing as all of these other simulator games. Open new locations. Expand your reach to new locations around the world. Use your income from established shops to help set up new shops. Travel between shops to manage them and optimize your profits. Early access will launch with the France and Japan locations. So this store page is left over from its early access days, but the fact that you have France and Japan as those early access ones, and I think we may have even seen at least one more distinct location in the actual screenshots and trailer. Set the vibes. Use your profits to customize your store. Choose walls and floors, decorate with rugs, plants, wall art, and more. Create specialized sections for your favorite genre or build cozy book nooks. I do appreciate that they really emphasize the decoration side of this thing, but one of the things that got me about some of these simulation games is that the decorations do seem to be only cosmetic. I would like to see these games explore something where the decorations actually give you bonuses to your workers, your customer impressions, to sale chances and stuff like that. The way that Tiny Bookshop did. Now, Tiny Bookshop is far more minimalist than this, where you basically just set your decorations for your cart or your physical bookstore towards the end, and it depending on how you decorate, each individual item does give bonuses to selling different genres or different categories of books, or having boosts to other types of items bonuses. Like if something says percent bonus to electrical effects, any items that are categorized as electrical items, their effects get boosted by that. At least that's how it works in Tiny Bookshop. I would like to see something like that for these games, but as it stands, it looks like they're emphasizing the decoration, but it looks like it's probably just like the others, where the decoration is purely cosmetic. Although I will say, even if it is only cosmetic and you can go with a very utilitarian store that doesn't look pretty, at least you have that option to go ahead and decorate and make a very homey, like a place that you enjoy spending time in. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's just sometimes, as somebody who focuses more on mechanics myself, it's a little hard for me to wrap around doing aesthetics just for the sake of aesthetics. I feel like I would like some incentive to the aesthetics giving bonuses. Get powerful abilities from rare books. Now, this is what I'm talking about here with the rare books, but at least with this one, it may only be a few select items for display, but at least they give some effects. Get boxes of used books that may contain rare mythical books. These books have powerful abilities to improve your profits and capabilities. We did see in the trailer they had a list of effects on them that increased like employee speed and other effects, customer impressions, things like that. Adopt a shop cat. Adopt a cat to keep you and your customers company every day in the shop. Buy food, a bed, and other items to keep the cat active and happy in the store. And honestly, my local used bookstore also has their own little like shop mascot of a cat that is it is precious. I'd love to go whenever I go there, and I haven't been in a while because I've been kind of trying to save my money, and I have a little bit of a spending problem when I go to the used bookstore and find things that just look cool, even if I haven't gotten around to reading them all yet. But the cat there is absolutely precious, and just an absolute dear. Like it'll come up to you, it'll sit up on the counter, be like, "Oh yeah, you may pet me." One of those kind of things. Seeing that portrayed here in game is just kind of cool. And Tiny Bookshop has something like that too. Although, oh, actually, yeah, it does have a cat. It has Tildy's cat and a dog that you adopt. So you get two pets for Tiny Bookshop that, again, also provide bonuses to your basically character and shop stats, like your sell chance and stuff like that. So if the cat also has those kinds of bonuses to help your character impressions, that would be a huge bonus here. I just wish that I could actually see if it had that or not. Now, before I go and give my final little impression here and full rating for the game, I do want to go ahead and highlight that they do have updates here. They have got a change log here from an update that seemed to drop shortly after, yeah, July 21st came out almost immediately after the 1.0 release, which was on the 20th, where there were some issues. So they are trying to actively address any issues here. The 1.0 update came out, and now this is something I feel like needed to get more attention on the store page, because this right here in the update information is one of the things that has me possibly interested in this game to a much higher degree. Multiplayer has come to Bookshop Simulator. Up to four people can play in a game. Multiplayer works through Steam's normal multiplayer handling APIs, so you can join games your friends are in through your Steam friends list or invite others directly to join. Certain benchmark things will change based on how many players are in the game to help keep things a little balanced. What levels employees unlock at and what level certain buildables like checkout counters become available. Certain features have also been added and or reworked to help make sure players aren't bored with nothing to do. So, just the fact that the multiplayer exists is kind of a cool thing here. Now, a game like this is not necessarily made for the challenge. It is kind of a progression grind as far as I can tell, just like the other shop simulators. But being able to just hop in the world with your friends and run a shop together while, hop on a Discord call and just chat with each other while you're going, is just it seems like a pleasant way to spend an afternoon or a weekend with your best buds. New location, Cotswolds, England. So they did tell us in the early access that there was France, which we saw France and Japan in front of Mount Fuji and the Eiffel Tower in the screenshots and the trailers. And then the Cotswolds, England also appeared in the trailers. A new location is available. Cotswolds is a cozy area set with a snowy atmosphere. The shop itself features 2 stories with a nice balcony overlooking the part of the first floor and a decent sized storage room in the back left. Much like Paris and Yamanashi, you can choose the order in which you buy the stores so you can purchase it as your second store right after Lion for 3,000 bleps, which interesting name for the currency. And we even see in the trailers and screenshots and stuff, it's like it's a it's kind of like a dollar sign, but it's a B with the line through it instead of the S. So the currency is bleps. Or if you're further along and have all 3 other stores already, you can purchase your fourth store for 300,000 bleps. There's a new item type for magazines alongside the Cotswolds. A new item type has arrived magazines. Magazines are unlocked once the Cotswolds store reaches level 12. 5 new magazines have been added for the initial batch and work like other licensed products, i.e., books, manga, comics. A magazine bookshelf has been added to the Depot Max app to display magazines for sale. Now, for people that might not be as aware of how these games work, usually there's like some kind of a mobile phone, like mock mobile phone interface that works where you place your orders from for inventory, furniture, hiring staff, and all that. So that the Depot Max app is basically this game's version of that. Flyers, not enough customers for your liking. Your friend dragged you into their store, but you don't feel like stocking shelves anymore. A flyer stand can now be purchased in the Depot Max app once any shop level is at 5. This will allow you to grab some flyers and hand them out to passerby on the streets to try to coax more customers in. Not all customers will choose to enter after taking a flyer, but there's a decently high chance. So, being out on the street side, like self-advertising, that's something that I did not see in TCG Shop Simulator. Even once you get that game flow more automated with employees and automatic pack openers, having something like this where you could interact with the customers apart from that is kind of a cool thing. And I do wish that maybe the front store page highlighted this more without me having to go into the updates and announcements to find this. Although the fact that it is in here is still incredibly helpful. There's a recommendation rework. Recommending items has been reworked to be a bit easier. Okay, this is one of the things that I was a little worried about. With a game like this, I could see it being very mechanical, where basically people just come in and buy the stuff. But when it comes to bookstores in general, talking to the staff to look for a book recommendation at your local bookstore is something that you as the customer would potentially engage in. So that was one of the central mechanics of Tiny Bookshop. In TCG Shop Simulator, those kind of customer interactions are instead worked towards buying or trading with customers for their cards. So instead of chasing customers down, a customer service desk can now be purchased in the Depot Max app once any shop level is at 8. The customer service desk can be placed anywhere in your shop and will act as a go-to point for customers seeking book recommendations. Up to 5 customers will queue to get a book recommendation at a time. The customer service desk, like checkouts, can also be closed if you wish for customers to not ask for recommendations anymore, which I think that sounds like the kind of thing that would maybe require more active player input that you would be setting up after you start to have some employees managing your stock and your main checkout counter. Other location updates, both Lion and Yamanashi have been expanded, so that has to do with the store upgrades and the store, like the storefront and the storage upgrades for those. Mythical books, so apparently legendary books were in the early access, and the mythical books seem to be a new higher tier of that, which, as we saw in the trailer and the screenshots and the description, that is basically those display books for those bonus effects. New content is showing the items like magazines and mythical books. 5 new books, 2 board games, and a new cafe item are coming as well. So they are constantly trying to get new things in there, which honestly has me incredibly hopeful for the longevity of this game, considering that I am already on board with it visually speaking. along with quality of life fixes, probably missing some entries in the changelog. That's in the changelog. We're not going to go through the whole changelog because I didn't start the game early. In fact, I haven't started this game at all. This is Judging by the Cover, where we review based on this store page. And there's a pricing update that says they will be raising the price a couple of dollars to $19.99 for US dollars. They intended to do so at the 1.0 launch and provide a launch discount, but unfortunately, we cannot raise the price for 1.0 and provide a launch discount at the same time. So basically, and we'll see when we get to the pricing that it is currently on sale from their original price, but they do intend to go ahead and have a price bump now that the final version is out. They're just at their sale price right now. I do appreciate that they are at least upfront about that, considering that, once a game comes out of early access, I would understand and honestly kind of expect a little bit of a price bump. The fact that Fields of Mystria has said they're not doing a price bump is their own choice, which I do honestly respect immensely that they have that going on. So that's a whole lot of stuff going in there. There is the multiplayer, the location, all this changelog stuff. And for anybody more interested, I do recommend going and checking that stuff out yourself. So, all of that said, we have to get into the nitty gritty of what it is that we think about this game. Graphics. I did say that graphically, it does look cleaner than other simulation games that I have seen. TCG Shop Simulator, the supermarket simulators. It looks more visually diverse with both the character models and the decoration, at least with what they're presenting in the trailer and the screenshots. Now, I have played TCG Shop Simulator, but I haven't played so much of it to get to a drastic amount of end game content with it. And I believe that one is also still in early access. So they do have a ways to go to catch up to this. But I also feel like, considering that a lot of these simulation games are kind of flooding the market a little bit, it does seem to be that now, I don't know if a lot of these like small indie developers are pulling like stock recycled assets for this, but if that is the case, Blep Games does look like they at least did some polishing and some like a little bit of a different rendering that makes it look like its own thing a little bit. Like I can tell that it's still running off of that same core engine of them, which gets into the gameplay. But it does at least have this a very honest approach to what they do and how they're going about this here. I do like, additionally with the graphics, the end cap displays, the way they had those candy shelves with artwork on the side of the candy shelves like an actual storefront. A lot of different, like very distinct book covers going on here. The rare book covers and all of that, different pedestals, different kinds of fancy things. Even the localities themselves, the way they have the Paris, Japan, and looks like maybe in England, like a city street in England for the setting of the things. It just looks so much more lively from a backdrop perspective and a decorative perspective for the player. Honestly, whether or not trying to compare this to Tiny Bookshop is the most fair comparison, considering the game is definitely more like the supermarket and TCG Shop simulators, but visually it looks like they tried to go more hard into their graphical presentation. The sound, at least as far as the music goes, like I said, that second trailer does a great job with the music presentation. It is a bit of a generic sounding audio track to pull from, so it's not like the kind of headbanger that I would expect here. But it's a track that at least sets the tone for what you're going here, especially because I feel like that track would go right at home in Paris. Gameplay, again, it looks just looking at what is presented, I can tell that it looks like I'm basically getting in for TCG Shop Simulator, Supermarket Simulator, whatever other number of other I know I keep naming those two. Like I played TCG Shop. I know Supermarket Simulator was big with the Game Grumps. There's some like anime shop simulator ones. I know I got one on the Switch, but I can't pull it up right now because I'm running my Sword and Shield hatching on it. Um, but so if anybody is familiar with those kinds of games, you're pretty much in for the exact same kind of thing, buying item licenses to unlock product to stock up your shelves and go from there. The UI and menus, the little bit that we do see here looks again exactly like those other games. I mean, not one to one exact. It does look like they at least designed it themselves, but it's a shopping menu to stock your things. It does look clean and intuitive. They show your UI shows the day of the week, the time, your player level, your money in nice out of the way corners of the screen. It shows your controller input. So if at any point you pick up the game after maybe taking a month-long break, the controls you can at least see on the screen like what each button is going to do. What button do you press on the keyboard to get certain interactions? What do you it tells you Q to exit register, right click, left click for different interactions at the register, and how you handle this, opening, throwing, placing everything. You can see it on the screen there, and it's nice in an out of the way little box in the side of the screen so that it's not obstructing your view, which for a game like this where the controls might be a little esoteric, or you care more about what you're doing and you're going to pick it up as you go, but at least it gives you a way to easily jump in with that user interface. Now, the pricing for the game. I know the announcements did say that they're looking to bump up to $20 after their early sale period ends. But right now, we're looking at a pricing of $13.59, at least until August 3rd. So if this is the kind of thing that interests you, jump on it. Like this is the time to jump on it. Full price right now is $15.99. I believe that was likely their early access price, and they did say that they wanted to bump it up. They just couldn't bump it up and then also drop a sale price at the same time. So once that sale ends, the price is probably going to go up to the $19.99, which honestly, from what is being presented, I feel like the 1999 is a fair price point considering that other similar games like the TCG Shop Simulator, if I just go ahead and I'm going to pop that real quick just to take a quick look. How much are they charging? Yeah, it's the same exact price for TCG Shop Simulator in early access. Now, I will say TCG Shop Simulator has the added caveat of numerous cards where each card needed its own character art, like its own monster art, because it is a game where you are managing a shop that's centered on a trading card game. And trading card games live and breathe by their artwork. In this game, since, there's books and book covers, but they seem to put a lot more attentiveness into their into their decoration and their backgrounds and everything to do with that, which I do love and appreciate how much work went into that. Now, how to rate this for the pricing? Again, I believe the $19.99 is fair for what is being presented. It looks incredibly clean compared to other similar games like this that have flooded the market, especially when you look at the Switch eShop, where I'm pretty certain most of those on the Switch are cash grab knockoffs from like that one developer that we looked at that was called Play Games, that basically just had a mess of simulation games that looked like they all reused the same assets. This one, Blep Games, looks like they went in and even if they started from a base of stock assets, it looks like they polished it. So it looks like I would actually spend the $20 on this if it wasn't on sale. The fact that it is on sale right now, $13.59, looks like a decent price. There is a free demo available, but I don't believe I believe the demo locks you into one storefront and does not carry save data over to the full version. So the demo is available for people that want to try it. There are bundles for this as well, like one with Retro Rewind, which again, that's another one of these shop simulation games, but just from this little snippet here, it looks like they're bundling it with one that also has its own distinct visual style that looks like the developer actively went in and tried to make like give it their own graphic style, their own artistic presentation. Or you can get it bundled with a Tailor Simulator, which is actually the cheaper bundle. Which again, this one looks like it has its own visual flair. They looks like from the screenshot there, it had its own little fashion show going. There's a Supercar Bookshop, which Supercar Collector, that's a toy shop one. Now that one looks more stock than the other one. So you do have bundles. If you like these simulator games, you can get it bundled for, I mean, it says 15% to 7% here, but that's the collective discount between the multiple games. So you're still getting like that sale price here for the 13.59 here, while the other one, Retro Rewind or Taylor or whatever bundle you want to go for, all those options are there. So honestly, like I said, the $20 feels like a very fair pricing, and the fact that you can get it right now for under 14 is pretty good. Now that, of course, this also depends on when you're watching the video. If you're watching this video on launch day, because I release these on Sunday, maybe a couple days early sometimes for special events and kind of things, but at the very least, I am highly tempted to buy this. And honestly, Retro Rewind kind of looks like it might be a little bit of a chill time too, if I can find the time for it, considering that I could see that and seeing 10% off of both items collectively. Well, it says 10 off of both. Okay. Whatever, however that's all going to work out. But overall, I have to say I do like what is being presented here on the store page for a game genre and category that can quite frankly be collectively referred to as slop by people of certain mindsets, where like I said, these kinds of simulation things, and so this is by Blep Games too. They do not have, at least when I click on the link on their Steam page, they don't have one, two, or five other games under their belt. This is the only game shown on Blep Games when you click on that. If I tried Googling them, I couldn't find a dedicated website. The top Google results were their social media pages. So, very clearly, small indie situation thing going on here that looks like they started from from a very familiar template, but put in the work to polish it and to make, at least when all the books are referencing real world books, you can tell what's what, and you can tell that it's done with a little bit of love and care to it. Even if some of the puns and jokes might be some low hanging fruit, I do appreciate that. They're putting in that work and that creativity with the unique book covers and the book titles. Overall, I just feel like it looks more polished than what I often see from these categories. At least, again, I am judging this based on the Steam store page presentation. I have not played this game. I don't know how stable it is. I don't know how well it performs. All of that would require actually checking out the demo or buying the game in order to find out. And I'm sure there are people out there who have definitely bought this. I mean, there are 1,200 very positive reviews and 120 recent very positive reviews. So the game is being received favorably among, again, like I said, what I think is a saturated market. Now, I don't know if that's a general consensus. I haven't researched other people's opinions on these kinds of games all that much, but at least when I look at store page and new releases and I see mountains and mountains of these simulation games, it becomes hard to take them seriously. And I do like that Blep Games, look, the way they're presenting their store page shows the love that they have for the bookshop, for the graphics, for the setting that they wanted to put this in, even if it is in that saturated market of game categories for a very affordable price too, for the kind of thing that, like, if you spend 10 hours in this, that you could easily consider that your money well spent, because at full price that would be $2 an hour of content. Not too bad considering movies cost more generally. So, all that said, I think it's time we finally buckle down and give this game a rating. Now, in comparison For the game itself, in comparison to what I see presented in other similarly styled games of this category, I would say this game, it looks to be an absolute banger of the category, and to show that even in a base, even when you start from that base formula, you can have some creativity and some love and care going to the product. As for the store page presentation of this game, I am going to rate it a very favorable 8 out of 10 on the Steam store page. Now, that's mainly because the first trailer needs some kind of a more robust audio cue to draw you in to it. If the second trailer replaced the first trailer, or they dropped the first trailer altogether, or put a different music track over that first trailer to announce the 1.0 release, that would immediately bump up our score. Another thing is if they put more focus, more emphasis on the multiplayer and really boasted that, showing you and other players. Like we do see in the screenshots and trailers, they show us multiple employees standing out in the front of the store. Now, maybe those are player characters, but considering games like these have you hire employees, I don't know that for certain. They could very easily be the NPC employees that you hire to run the store for you. But just the fact that they do have multiple locations and multiplayer, and even if the multiplayer isn't presented front and center unless you go into, again, go all the way down to the announcements here. And yes, it is at the front of the announcements, but as soon as they start cranking out more announcements, that multiplayer notification isn't going to be front and center. But the fact that they do at least put that multiplayer aspect up front and show you the multiple locations and show you the sheer variety of the decor that you can work with is one of the huge positives here. But again, if they at least improved the audio presentation of that first trailer and emphasized the multiplayer a little more, maybe having a separate multiplayer trailer showing how you and other players interact, that would be kind of a cool thing to see. Maybe later on down the line, considering that they are going to, I imagine they're going to keep updating this game and adding content to it after this 1.0 release. I sure hope so, because honestly, I do like what I'm seeing here, and I would like to go and dive in and see what we can do with this. I might even do like a game series on it and try and do some kind of a completion run and figure out what exactly completion criteria for this game looks like. And yeah, the 8 out of 10 kind of sold me on it. I am ranking it 8 out of 10, even though I'm highly considering this purchase. Not because I'm like throw in just random numbers. Like I do have my critiques, and again, those critiques are on the store page's presentation, not on the game itself. The game itself looks like it could be a golden example of how this genre can be an artistic expression. In addition to where TCG Shop Simulator started in expressing that whole aspect of the genre. Um, it just looks like a lot of work and care went into this, in contrast to some of these other type of games that I reviewed. I know the Streamer Simulator I had some very shaky review critique on, and when I did not TCG Shop Simulator's review, but when I reviewed two distinct knockoffs of TCG Shop Simulator on the Switch, which, maybe I'm going to go ahead and drop those links in the description below in case anyone wants to kind of cross-reference my thoughts on those games. I do highly recommend taking a look at it yourself, or at the very least, go on Steam or on whatever consoles shop you have and just kind of look and explore simulation games yourself and kind of compare and contrast how different developers promote themselves and portray their games on the store pages to see like how where maybe that's kind of where I'm coming from on this is give it a look to show that the presentation really matters in trying to get that sale. So honestly, Blep Games, I'd say A rank on the marketing. It has a couple of things that could be better, but the 8 out of 10 I think is highly earned for what they do present. Even with those couple of nitpicks that I have about the music and the focus on the multiplayer. So, that's what we have here. Anyway, a quick heads up about what we're going to be doing for next month for anybody that's actually stuck with the review for this long. And I'm looking to have some fun with this one. I am going to look at games. Now, I know the gag of this review show is games that I have not played, which generally means games that I have not bought as well, because in order to play a game, I kind of have to buy them most of the time. Yeah, most of the time. Next month, though, starting in 1 week from the time of this video's release, we are going to be looking at free-to-play games. That's right, games that you don't have to buy. And oh, that is going to be a roller coaster of review scores based on how they monetize, do microtransactions, or just how they present the games themselves. In fact, I might have to go ahead and expand how I do these reviews and do maybe not only the not only Switch and Steam. I might have to actually pull a mobile game if I can work out the recording for one of those. So, if you have other games that you'd like to see reviewed, I don't know if I'm going to fill out my timeline for the month in advance, but if you have something you want to see reviewed, by all means, drop something in the comments there. If you have a comment about how you think my review style is full of shit, or, you know, something that maybe I didn't touch on that you'd like to hear, or anything else, like if you've played this game and you have any kind of input on how maybe some of my impressions are not quite on point, or maybe I missed the mark on something, or maybe I overlooked something that is actually presented on the store page, by all means, let me know down below, and I would like to know what you guys think, what your recommendations are, and if I do go and purchase this, just tell me, how cooked am I?